And if you're still looking at the new bank on Market Street called Polaris Bank, according to Moody's Investor Services, it says the decision taken last Friday by the Central Bank and NDIC to create a bridge bank will limit the threat of contagion to Nigeria's banking system from the failure of a systemically important bank. And this shift is credit positive because it will contain systemic risks for the Nigerian banking system as a whole. That's according to Akintunde Majakodunmi, who is Moody's Vice President and banking analyst sitting in London. And let's talk about the marketplace. This is where we're looking at the trading day. Of course, it was the first trading day. The market softens a little bit. Let's get a sense of this from the stock exchange, where our downtown studios is with Temple Ashaju, our business correspondent. Temple, good morning. I'm sure we'll have time to talk about the planned IPOs by the Buhari's administration in the days ahead. But first, let's deal at where the market is to finish off on Monday, and then we'll have a look into today.
Good morning, Bosin. True. I mean, that's really good news for the market if it comes through as expected by traders, analysts, and everybody who participates in the capital market. General, I mean, this has been long coming. We've been hearing analysis on the need to privatize a lot of these state-owned entities, state-owned enterprises, so we could, have more liquidity in the system, bring about more competitive, healthy competition, basically, in the economy. But yes, where did we finish off yesterday? All share index, which is the key benchmark reading for the NSE, was down yesterday 0.27%. And you got it coming in at 32,451.27 points. Equity capitalization was at 11.847 trillion naira. But you got decline in the activity level in terms of volume and the value of transactions yesterday. Volume down 64%, and you got the value down some 69%. Deals came in at 2,942. And in terms of the top trade that we had in the market, Guaranty Trust Bank was the most actively traded, rose yesterday by 1.59% after some 67 million units of shares was traded on the counter, and it came in for a value of 2.35 billion naira. But if you look at the sectors yesterday was a bit mixed. You got two of the sectors being positive, while three others were really negative. For the positive ones, you've got the banking sector, where the investors continue to pick some of the battered stocks there as a result of the lower prices that we have there. You look at FCMB, which did some 2.27% rising, contributing massively to the gains that we saw in that sector yesterday. GT Bank, as I said earlier, was one of the major contributors, as well as ZUBA and Zenith Bank. A couple of banking stocks actually experienced losses. Union Bank was one of them, as well as Unity Bank. These two banks went unable to actually outweigh the sector with the losses, but we ended up closing positively. The insurance sector was also able to move as a result of the rise we saw in Niger Insurance, which was the topmost gainer for the entire market yesterday, gained some 9.68%. Of course, that's really cheap stock, which investors were able to push for, and that ended up pushing up the sector, as well as Lasaco Insurance that gained some 9.09%. You got losses in Law Union and Rock and a couple of other insurance firms, given the recapitalization process still going on there, which is also causing some uproar between investors and the regulators right now at the moment. But if you look at the other sectors, consumer goods sector was down on account of the losses in Dangote Flour, Nigerian breweries, as well as international breweries. For industrial goods sector, WAPCO lost some 2.13% yesterday and was able to drag the indices down southward. But let's go to the oil and gas sector, where you've got it at 287.59 level of reading now, down some 76 basis points on account of losses in Forte Oil and, of course, O&O. And that takes us to the energy stocks, where we've got just these two companies moving on our radar yesterday. They all moved southward, actually. Forte Oil, after investors moved some 671,000 units of shares yesterday dipped by some 6.74%. O&O was also down 2.94% after over 3 million units of shares were transacted there on the counter. For the NASD OTC, we saw a little bit of profit taking, still keeping the USI at 710 psychological mark yesterday. Market capitalization, fell to 480.65 billion naira. In terms of the fixed income market, you got both the bonds and the treasury bill segments of the markets doing bullish trading yesterday. You saw moderation in terms of the yields for bonds, moderated some 3 basis points after demands on the July 2034 was priced at 81 naira 56 kobo. And of course, that was just a bit of a contraction of 10 basis points. For the T-bills markets, you also have the bullish trading there, where things were also bullish. You got moderation in the system there. You also have yields, short-term and the mid-term, as well as the long-term curve. You have all of that experiencing good movements there. And this level of sentiment we're seeing at the fixed income markets is likely to continue today.
Temple, thank you very much. Of course, the market will be looking at today's MPC decisions in the afternoon. Temple's Shaji standing by to put our team together there at the NSE studios for that interaction to look at the considerations and decisions at about 1:30 in the afternoon. Okay, let's move on the conversation a little bit later on. Is it time for us to have a Ministry of Palm Oil Resources? Maybe we should just shift gear a little bit. Let's look at that when we come back.